Acura broke the internet recently when it revealed its new Integra prototype, a preview of what the next generation Integra is going to look like. There were a bunch of people out there that had positive things to say about the car, but much to my surprise, there were a ton of negative comments all throughout the internet. I'm Jared Rosenholtz here with carbuzz.com, and today I'm going to give my opinions as to why those people who were really down on the Integra prototype are actually wrong. Die-hard car enthusiasts are an impossible group to please. New cars for them are too expensive, too complicated, and they all only come with automatic transmissions. That's why they typically buy things that are used, cheaper, and have a good old-fashioned stick shift. So why don't they like the Integra? It seems to fit all of their criteria. In this video, I'm going to break down all of the most common criticisms that I've been seeing of the Integra and hopefully prove them wrong. Now, this is just my opinion as an automotive journalist who covers the industry and drives roughly 100 cars every year. So without further ado, let's learn why you're wrong to hate the Acura Integra. Now, the first criticism that I've been seeing commonly about the new Integra is that it isn't a true Integra because it's using a Honda Civic platform, specifically the new 11th generation Civic Si. And to those people, I just want to say, you must not know your Integra history very well. You see, all of the original Integras, and in fact the Acura RSX, which was technically a successor to the Integra, were all based on Civics. They even used the same engines as the Civic SIs of their period. So if this is the criticism that it won't be good because it's based on a Civic, then by that logic, no Integra was ever a good car. Somewhat related to my previous argument, I'm going to be doing this one as kind of an argument 2.5. I've seen a lot of people draw comparisons from the new Integra's design to the Honda Accord Cross Tour, which is one of the ugliest cars I think Honda has ever made. So I will give this argument a little bit of credit because it is kind of clever. If you compare the two cars from the side profile, you can kind of see how the new Integra maybe reminds you a little bit of the Accord Cross Tour, but only if you really squint. The two cars really aren't shaped that similarly. The front end of the Integra looks much sharper, very much like the TLX, which I think is a very good looking car. And I do like how Acura threw in some heritage design elements like the embossed Integra stamp on the back end. Now, I think the yellow color that they decided to launch it in is a little bit controversial, and not a lot of people like that big Integra sticker on the side, but again, this is just a prototype, so the car will come in some more conventional colors, and I highly doubt that that decal will be available on the production model. Before I tackle the next argument, now is a great time to remind everybody, if you're enjoying this video so far, to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. Now back to the Integra. Now, the second argument that I've seen a lot of people make is that they don't like the new Integra because it's not a two-door coupe. Now, I have several rebuttals to that argument. First of all is that two-door coupes just don't sell. You only need to look at the last generation of Honda Civic sales to see that nobody was really buying the coupe. Instead, they were buying the sedan and the hatchback model. The other rebuttal that I'm going to make is that Acura has a precedent for offering the Integra with more than just two doors. Even the original Integra, the first generation, was offered as a 3-door coupe, but you could also get it as a 5-door liftback, just like the one they just introduced. Move on to the second generation, Acura also offered a 4-door with a trunk, so there's really a historical precedent for the Integra having more than 4 doors. And just remember, it could have been a lot worse. They could have done what Mitsubishi did with the Eclipse and turned the Integra into a crossover. So count yourself lucky that we aren't arguing about the Integra being yet another boring SUV. Now, the third argument I've been hearing a lot about the new Integra is that it doesn't have enough power. So we don't have full performance specs just yet, but Acura has said that it will share the same 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-pot that you get in the Honda Civic Si. Now, in that car, it produces around 200 horsepower, but there's no reason that Acura couldn't dial it up just a little bit more to make the Integra stand out. Now, I know that 200 horsepower is not going to win too many drag races, but just remember that this is still the base model of the Integra. The Integra that everybody thinks of when they think of high performance was the Type R. Now, Acura won't slap a Type R badge on this new Integra, but they have heavily hinted that this new model will receive a Type S variant that should produce well over 200 horsepower. In fact, it may even get the same engine as the next generation Civic Type R, which the previous generation produced over 300 horsepower. That should keep the enthusiasts happy. So now that I've kind of rebutted all of the reasons why the internet seems to hate the Integra, I'm going to tell you a couple of reasons why I'm very optimistic that it's going to be a really great car. The first reason I think we have for major optimism is that Acura did not go the way of some other automakers and completely bastardize what the Integra name stands for. I know a lot of people are not happy to see the Integra name on a sedan, but as I pointed out, there is a precedent for that. As I said earlier, it could have been much worse. Acura could have revived the ZDX and slapped the Integra name on it, and then it just would have been another crossover that was nothing to do with the original car. And in fact, I love the lift-back design that Acura has chosen here. You get the practicality of 4 doors, plus the practicality of a hatchback, but without the looks that often come associated with a hatchback model. Just look at some other examples like the BMW 4 Series Grand Coupe and the Audi A5 Sport Pack. Those are really great cars that combine the sleek styling of a coupe with the practicality of a crossover. My second argument for the Integra is that it should be incredibly fun to drive. As I mentioned earlier, it's going to be based on the current Civic Si, which by all accounts is a really fun car to drive on a back road. And that's not even the headline story. As I mentioned earlier, enthusiasts always get mad when a new car comes out like the Toyota Supra and it doesn't have a manual transmission option. Well, Acura has already settled that debate because the new Integra will be available with a 6-speed manual. So now there's no reason for you to complain. And that's not all. Besides the manual, it's also going to come with a limited slip differential on the base model. We haven't even got into the Type S yet, which could potentially add all-wheel drive or some even better high-performance upgrades. I think it's safe to say that nobody has driven the Integra yet, so you can't claim it won't be fun to drive. My third argument is a continuation of the last argument, which is that the performance is only going to get better as time goes along. See, this is just the base Integra, but the Type S, which Acura has strongly winked to us is going to happen, should keep the enthusiasts happy. Instead of a 1.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, it should borrow the new 2-liter 4-cylinder that will be in the Honda Civic Type R, producing anywhere from 305 to maybe 350 horsepower. When that comes along, I think enthusiasts are gonna love it. My final argument is going to be a price-based one, because enthusiasts always complain that cars are just too expensive these days. Look at the Toyota Supra. You can't even get into one of those cars for under $40,000, but the Integra is going to be genuinely cheap. Acura says that the base model will start under $30,000, which is an insane value when you compare it to other entry-level luxury products. If you look at things like the Audi A3, BMW 2 Series Grand Coupe, and Mercedes A-Class, they are all well into the $30,000 range. And even if you compare it to something like the Kia Stinger, which is admittedly larger and more powerful, the Integra comes out as a bargain. As a replacement for the ILX as Acura's entry-level product, I think the Integra is going to do great. So those were my opinions on the new Integra. Am I right? Did I sway you? Let me know in the comments. Or you can call me an idiot and tell me that everything I just said is wrong. We'll have to wait until next year when we finally get a chance to drive the new Integra to see whether or not I was right. Maybe you were right. But anyway, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to be alerted of our latest videos. I'll see you next time.